we made this movie on air. And I tell young artists, young filmmakers, young dancers, young actors, you just got to start. It doesn't have to look perfect. It's not going to look perfect. You don't know where one small Columbia School of Theatrical Arts is going to give you the confidence and the connections to jump into the next thing and then the next thing and then the next thing. And then you're just stringing events and opportunities on. Yeah. And I don't know where this film was going to take anything other than we did it.
Greetings from Columbia, Maryland, where we are recording Razzle Dazzle Radio, a show brought to you by Howard Community College. I'm Carolyn Kellerman, and I'm here with my co-host, Judy Templeton. Today's show is Home for the Holidays. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas here in Maryland. The tinkling Tchaikovsky score of the Nutcracker, sipping hot chocolate while watching skaters glide across the ice at Colorburst Park, Handel's Messiah at the Jim Rouse Theater, and Elf, a show full of Yuletide cheer at Toby's Dinner Theater. So, Judy, I'm staying home and hope to catch some of the festive offerings. Let's meet our guests who offer holiday treats to both young and old. From faraway California, we welcome Tico Wells, remembered by his fans of the Five Heartbeats a few years ago. And I guess I'm asking Tico, so what's a Christmas like? But before that, I want to introduce Ginger Lockman-Frent, who's got a super nutcracker plan for all of us who live in this area. Tico, what's it like having Christmas in Hollywood, or are you not having it in Hollywood?
I'm actually going to be in Petersburg, Virginia, where my mother and father are from. And I've been invited to be a guest speaker on the 26th for a Kwanzaa celebration.
Oh, good.
Which is,
we forgot that.
I'm sure people have heard of Kwanzaa now, both black and white and yellow, maybe. I don't know, but it's a African-American celebration.
Absolutely. We're here in Columbia and we celebrate it all. You know that.
Right on, Columbia, Maryland.
Absolutely. So to take us right to Columbia, Maryland, let's speak with our other guest, Ginger. And Ginger, I just love that you agreed to come on because you bring a rich history of dance in Columbia. And of course, we can't forget your mom, Marcia, who started Arabesque Dance Studio, and your dad, Ron, who ran the butcher shop. What a cool combination, a dancer and a butcher, So I remember you as a tiny little girl, which I hate to admit, but I do. So talk about your early days with your parents and your mom starting Arabesque Dance Studio first.
Well, first, thank you for having me.
Of course.
I didn't know about this, so now I know. It's a wonderful thing you're doing. My mom started Arabesque when I was a little girl because she was taking me into Silver Spring every week when I was 3 to dance because there was nothing in Howard County.
Imagine.
It was even before Columbia.
Right.
So she had grown up danced all her life and wanted the kids of Howard County to be able to experience that too. And she started out as a kindergarten teacher in Howard County. And then she started teaching at she rented one of the preschools in the area, one of the very few preschools that was around at that time, and had a few classes for little ones then. And from there went to Slayton House when that opened. And then she had a studio in Wild Lake for a while. And then we moved to Dobbin Road. And then eventually in 1982, we moved here to Snowden Center. And this has been our home since then. And like you said, my dad had the butcher shop in Wild Lake. He had one of the first businesses in Columbia and had that for many, many years. So I've been in Howard County since 1963. And this is where I'll be spending the holidays.
Absolutely. You sure will.
This is my home forever and ever. So
that's
can't
good to
imagine
know.
Being anywhere else.
I know that we say that a lot. So I can tell you, if you haven't been to the Arabesque Dance Studio lately, be prepared to find a parking spot first and then try to get in the door because it's packed. I mean, I'm so amazed by everything that you offer there. I mean, it's a full dance program. And I want to talk a little bit about the Nutcracker that you can tell us how many years that you all have been putting it on. And thank you for continuing that because we have very few Nutcrackers in the area anymore. So, yeah, so tell us about how many years you've been doing the Nutcracker and how many dancers we can expect to see.
We have about 75 dancers in the Nutcracker. It's not all our students, just our children who are in our dance company, but they range in age from 4.5 through high school seniors. And then we have a few parents in there too, but mostly our children. But we do have some parents who volunteer for our party scene. We started doing the Nutcracker, I believe, in 1982. And we just kind of did that to start teaching more of the production to our dancers and started very small. We just did a little bit for parents at the studio. And then we were invited to do it at a couple elementary schools. And eventually we started doing it like in Slayton House. And then we moved to Howard Community College and we did there for quite a while. We loved that. And then when they did some renovations and stopped renting to the public, we moved to the Jim Rouse Theater, which has become our new home, which is nice because it's much bigger than the other places we've done and we can make it grander. But we started quite a while ago and it's grown and grown and grown. And it's definitely become a studio favorite holiday tradition. I know a lot of our kids start when they're very young and continue through high school, and they all look forward to it every year. Their families look forward to it. They have family coming into town to see it, and it's definitely become a great holiday tradition for all of us.
So make sure and let us know, and we'll post it, of course. So it's coming up. So it's not that many performances. So tell us when we can expect to see it.
We are performing December 13th and 14th at 2:00.
Okay.
At the Jim Rouse Theater. We try and make it a little bit shorter and really fast moving. So we adapt it for a child's interest level, but it's definitely fun for the whole family. We try and get the whole story in there, but keep it moving so the kids, even young kids, can really sit through and enjoy, but definitely fun for the whole family.
Excellent. And am I right that it's a matinee on both days? Is it 2:00 on both days?
2:00 p.m.
Okay.
both days.
Okay. All right. So I assume you can get your tickets online. And can you give us that information as well?
Yes, the easiest way, I think, to do it, we have a Facebook page, Arabesque Dance Studio. So we have information on our Facebook page, but we also, you can just go to our website, which is www.livetodance.com. And that has a link for a Nutcracker page that has a link directly to the ticketing site.
Excellent. All right. Well, we're going to come back and hear more about all the excitement at Arabesque. And let's go from Maryland right now, all the way across the USA to Hollywood. All right, Tico, how are you? Thanks for coming on.
Well, I'll tell you what, I do a football show called Command West.
Okay.
Commanders.
Yeah.
West, California. Get it?
Yeah,
was one of my high
Got
school
it.
buddies.
Washington.
I went to Laurel High School, and one of my best friends from 10th grade lives out here with me now, and he has a son, and we have another partner, and we do that show on YouTube.
Oh, that's
So
great.
if anybody's a Commanders fan and you're still alive and hanging in there, even though it's been a dismal season, a lot of injuries, a lot of disappointment. Our phenom quarterback, Jaden Daniels, has been hurt. So it's been tough from a fan point of view. But
well, let's take it back. It's interesting that you're now speaking on the athletics. Okay, so because I, of course, remember you for another part of you, which is, of course, theater. And so take us back to your beginnings, because you mentioned Laurel High School. So how did you get started here?
So my teacher, the late Gene Vandenbosch, was our drama director at Laurel High School.
Okay.
Back in the 70s. Remember
Yeah.
the
I
70s?
remember the 70s. Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes.
Pippin, right.
And we did great stuff. But Gene took me out to Toby's School of Theatrical Arts at the time.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And I auditioned for something called the Junior Young Colombians.
Yep.
And I got in, me and my friend Brian Engel. Carolyn probably remembers Brian. And I ended up getting the lead in Pippin, which is where I met the great Carolyn Kellerman. And she was our choreographer. We did Pippin at Oakland Mills High School. And then that summer, my senior year, we took it to Y Mills, Maryland, and did dinner theater in a barn.
Yeah.
And that was my first paid acting gig where I made $100 a week. And I thought I was something.
I bet you did.
I did, and Carolyn choreographed it, and she was so patient with me. And I wasn't really a seasoned dancer or whatever, but I could definitely move, and I could pick up choreography and sing and all that stuff. And we had a ball. And I've always appreciated Carolyn for believing in me, you know, and just being so great with me. And I had a lot to do. I was the co-lead with a guy named Larry Friedman. Shout out to Larry.
Shout out to Larry. We all
Shout out to Larry. Larry's going through some physical challenges this year, and love you, Larry. Toby gave me opportunities, and I studied acting at Toby School. I took some dance classes at Toby School, and the Junior Young Colombians, and then eventually the Young Colombians. I moved up. It was really like training. So by the time I ended up at Bowie State College, I felt like I had some professional training that I took into college.
Yep.
And I stayed there for 2 years, did a lot of shows. I didn't even know James Baldwin had done theater. I did a show called The Amen Corner, won the Irene Ryan Acting Award. And I always wanted to go to New York University. And that's where I ended up finishing my undergraduate at New York University. And I just was let out from there into the world of New York and Manhattan.
Yep. Well, you know, they say that everybody should live in New York long enough to toughen up and California long enough to soften up. So you got the good balance there, right? So. And
it's true. It's true. I would see people from New York who were just edgy, and they would come to California and get soft and fluffy. And it's not going to happen to me. And I'm soft and fluffy.
Oh, God, you got the great. Well, I love your story because, again, yours goes back way to when Ginger's goes back as well. You know, is that early training that you both had in this wonderful place that we love where the arts really thrive, and that's Columbia. I mean, you know, we really have. When you were saying shout outs, I'm going to still shout out to James Rouse, and I'm believing he can hear me because he still was responsible. And one of his main goals in this city was the culture and the arts, you know, and that still continues to sustain itself in every way. And so we have people that have walked that path from the beginning to now. It just gives me chills. It really, really does. So, all right. So now we know how you found your way to New York, Tico, but how'd you find your way to California?
Well,
that's a longer path, maybe.
The very first time was 1984, actually. I just gotten out of NYU, and I booked a pilot that was sort of, you remember Beverly Hills 90210?
I do.
Do you remember that show? So before that, there was a show called Summer. We did a pilot. It didn't get picked up from CBS, but they flew me out to California. I got the job, and it was my first big gig. I got $10,000 to come out there and be in this show. And by the time my agent and my manager and Uncle Sam, and, you know, I ended up with, you know, $2 after that, which was eye-opening about the world. But it was great to be on the set. And I was actually had to leave a play I was in with a woman named Geraldine Fitzgerald. I don't know if y'all remember her, famous actress.
Carolyn does.
She was directing us in a play, a musical play called Take Me Along off Broadway. And I had to leave the set. They had to replace me, which is always a disaster for a director when your lead actor has to go, and now I got to replace you with somebody who's got to learn the script, and oh God. But it's the business. It's the business, you know. But I tell you, I've had some great. At 64 now. Can you believe I'm 64, Carolyn?
Nope.
I just say that we're all timeless. That's all we got to say.
Yeah.
Ginger, too.
But,
I can't believe that you're as old as you are. Right? Yeah.
You knew me when I was 18, 17, 18.
Definitely
But
happens
can I
to
tell
them.
y'all my Denzel Washington story real quick? I got it.
Sure.
Everybody loves Denzel, right? How can you
Of
not love
course.
Denzel, right?
Yes, of
So
course.
when I first get to New York before my junior season in college, I go to a play and it's about Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad. And it's a double bill. It's a 2 one-act plays. That show was called When the Chickens Come Home to Roost. And the other one was called Zora, about Zora Neale Hurston. And it was starring a lady named Felicia Ayres Allen. We know her now as Felicia Rashad from The Cosby Show. So it was her on that one show doing a one-woman show. And there was this young kid named Denzel Washington and Kirk Kirksey playing Elijah Muhammad. Denzel was playing Malcolm X. And I was like, this guy, I like this guy. I like this guy, right?
I guess you do.
Yeah. Well, nobody. I mean, he was hot on the scene, in the theater scene in New York at that time. And so that was in the summer. I start school in September. And my teacher, who was the head of a company called Playwrights Horizon on 42nd Street, Andre. Anyway, so for our class assignment, we have to go to the Negro Ensemble Company to see a play for class called A Soldier's Story, which later became A Soldier's Play, which later became A Soldier's Story.
Story on film, yeah.
And I see this kid again. I'm calling him a kid. He's older than me. But I see this guy, Denzel Washington, again. I'm like, can't get rid of this guy. I just saw him in a play. Now he's in another play. And so for my assignment, I said, I'm not going to just write a paper. I'm going to interview the actors, right? And I go backstage and I ask Denzel and a couple of other actors, can I interview you? And they said, sure. Come back, after tomorrow's show, whatever. So Denzel had just booked a show called Saint Elsewhere. And he was so excited. He was going to have his TV series. He was going to get a chance to make some real money. And he was just like, the director is going to let me out of my contract. And that was my beginning relationship with Denzel Washington. And every time I would see him in New York on the street or in another behind stage, I would say, hey, I'm the kid that interviewed you. Hey, remember me? I'm the kid that interviewed you. Fast forward to 1990. He comes on the set of the 5 Heartbeats, and he's friends with Robert Townsend. And he had just gotten his Academy Award for Glory. And we go to his house, and he shows us his award. They didn't even have his name on it yet. Fast forward, we end up that same year working on a movie called Mississippi Masala. And the director's son just became the mayor of New York.
It all connects. I like to quote the book, The 5 People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom. And of course, the point is that if we could look from the end of our life to the beginning, we'd see the connection of all of it. But, it's trust and faith that gets us to the next part. So, I think that is so interesting that you have just been open and one thing's led to another. And Ginger, I'm quite sure it's the same with you. I don't know when you were a little girl dancing with your mom and, that kind of thing. Did you ever think, or maybe it was in your dreams to just take over, at one time if your mom had, gone and been in charge of all these things that you're in charge of now?
I think by the time I was in high school, I knew that teaching dance was what I wanted to do. A lot of people tried to steer me into dancing professionally, and I did a little local kind of things here and there, but I always knew that I wanted to teach, and that's always been my passion. But I think I knew pretty early on that I wanted to kind of be like my mom and share my love of dance with the children of Howard County.
Did you think that you would be directing and be
No.
Because the thing is, it's one thing to share your love and to teach, but directing and managing large groups of people is not always the easiest job. Let's be honest, right?
It's definitely, I don't think I ever thought that far in advance. I always just assumed that my mom would be here forever. But a little at a time, I took on more and more and more responsibility. And now I'm just glad I can keep her dream going.
Absolutely.
My daughter now teaches for me. And
is that right? So we've got another generation of arabesque. Okay.
Big part of the studio. And
I love that.
A lot of our teachers are dancers who have grown up here since they were very little and had my mom for teacher, had me for teachers, and are trying to keep that tradition going. Like Becca, who does our adult tap program. She started when I had my first 2.5-year-old class. She was one of the first students in that program. We had always started at like 3 or 4, but my mom thought I was a little overzealous, but I said, I think we could do kids age 2.5. And she said, try it. And I did. And Becca was in that class and she's been here ever since. But it's fun to watch all the next generation kids coming in, and their parents or aunts would dance here, and they come and they're excited to be here. So it's been great to be a part of it all.
Oh, absolutely. Well, so Tico, where are you now? Okay, so let's come back to your journey because I'm pretty sure it never ends anyway. So what's your latest excitement that you're working on? Because I know there's got to be something.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to acknowledge Ginger for your work. And I'm really moved, like,
I know,
of that having a center, a place to go to as a young person. It means so much.
You
and
just
I think
told us your
sometimes
story.
we forget, they remind us, but, I teach young people acting now, and it's just, they're like my babies, and you know that feeling, right?
Definitely, they are your babies.
So I want to salute you.
Oh, well, thank you.
From the West Coast, and I want to just acknowledge you. The ups and downs, the frustrations, the pulling monies from different people in different places and different accounts. You make a difference.
Well, thank you. That's my mission. Put a little joy in everyone's life and share our love of dance and trying to carry on that tradition. But thank you.
Well, and that's what our show is all about here at Razzle Dazzle, is really promoting all of the wonderful people we have that have either been here, have gone on to other places, and their work in the arts. And, how we've all, and yes, they all are our babies. All 4 of us have taught here, directed here, done some of that same work. And thank you, Tico, for, saying that, because it's such an important
It's so
piece.
I mean, I think about Toby Ornstein, and I'm just,
these are important mentors we all have, and we shout out to Toby right now. We surely do. So Tico, what are you presently doing? Because you mentioned that you're directing kids right now. So tell us what you're up to.
Well, last year when I came on the show, I had been working on a documentary about first generation college bound, and I finally finished, and I'm on the festival circuit. And I've done one festival so far in Las Vegas, and I got turned down for the Maryland Film Festival. We got turned down, but we're hoping to get into the DC International Festival this coming year. And Sundance, everybody knows Sundance, and about 5 or 6 others. Wow.
We have a Columbia Festival of film.
Oh yeah, you know what? I need to look into that because I really want
in June.
And we've
in
had
June. Okay.
Columbia Festival of the Arts. Yeah, look it up, and we'll help you with it too.
Good. But it's about an hour and a half long. It's called First Generation College Bound, 33 years and counting. They help kids from low-income areas. Joe Fisher was a teacher at Harper's Choice Middle School for 35 years. He was the women's track coach, cross-country track coach, which he started at Catholic University, where Toby Ornstein taught for years. And it's been 35 years, and he's gotten almost 3,000 kids into college, mostly from the Laurel area, Prince George's County, different areas in Prince George's County. We have 7 high schools that we work with. And we made this movie on air, and I tell young artists, young filmmakers, young dancers, young actors, you just got to start. It doesn't have to look perfect. It's not going to look perfect. You don't know where one small Columbia School of Theatrical Arts is going to give you the confidence and the connections to jump into the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing. And then you're just stringing events and opportunities on. Yeah. And I don't know where this film was going to take anything other than we did it. I've been working with him since he started. I used to speak at Harper's Choice Middle School, and he would invite me in. So if any of you all want to donate to something that I think is exciting, it's First Generation College Bound, or F as in Frank, GCB. FGCB as in boy.org. And you can go to the donation button and make a small donation. And if you put the word film in the memo, it'll go towards our film project. So FGCB.org, First Generation College Bound. And we're going strong. We're looking for 35 more years.
Well,
and
I'm guessing you're going to have it.
Yeah. And I leave tonight to come to Richmond tomorrow morning. And this Saturday, I'm doing a health workshop Saturday at noon near Richmond, Virginia. So that's what I'm doing. Talking about health. I got interested in health at a young point in my life. And I realized that without our health,
none of the rest can happen. You got that right. You got it. Yep.
Yeah. And it's a little bit different than probably what Carolyn's husband did. I'm not a doctor of medicine. I am a person who wants to help people learn how to take care of themselves as naturally as possible. That's organic food. That's exercising. That's taking care of the mind. That's taking care of the heart, the spirit. And it's a lifestyle. And at the same time, learning to get off of my high horse, because this is just one choice. Everybody has their own choice. Do what you want to do.
Yep.
But for those who want to be on a holistic journey, there's a whole movement out there of people trying to make us aware that there are herbs that have been here on this planet for thousands of years, that most incredible people have figured out. They're herbs for the mind, they're herbs for the heart.
Well, the American health system, after all, is in crisis. So it's time for us to look at the whole body, mind, spirit component of how we run our bodies. And well, that is a show for another time, Tico, which I would love to talk to you because I'm into the same thing. But unfortunately, our time is all right. We will do it. Our time's running out on this one. So here's what I want to say. Each of you. Okay, so Ginger, tell me, what do you recommend for the holidays?
I recommend you get in the holiday spirit and come join our Arabesque tradition. Watch the Nutcracker Ballet. Make sure you feel good.
I'm coming December 13th. Hold me a ticket. You know I'm coming. So.
Absolutely. If you're coming, I'll put some tickets away.
All right.
What are the dates? What are the dates again, Ginger?
December 13th and 14th.
Okay. I'll be...
You're in town. I'll grab you up, Tico. All right, Tico, what are you going to do? What are you going to do for the holidays?
Which one?
Kwanzaa, Christmas, Hanukkah, pick one, whatever one, all of the above. That brings you joy.
Well, Thanksgiving, I'll be in the DMV, and I just want to see family and friends as much as possible, even if it's just a conversation. That's what I want to do, connect.
Yep, connection is important right now.
That's what I want to do.
Carolyn, what are you doing for the holidays to bring you joy?
Maybe I'll do some tap dancing down in my basement. I'm not sure.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go to the Nutcracker.
Everybody's coming home, and I'd love to see you, Tico, over Thanksgiving if we can.
Yes.
I'm going to make it a point. I'm going to make it a point to come out there.
All right. You better. So, all right, what I'm going to do is the things I do all the time, because I'm a FOMO, fear of missing out. I'm going to go to every activity for the holiday I can find. And this Friday night is going to be the lighting of the big tree over at Colorburst Park. So I'm hoping to start it out with that. But thank you. You brought Razzle Dazzle to our show. Razzle Dazzle, Tico, and Ginger. Thank you so much for all that you've done and all that you'll continue to do. And until next time, it's happy holidays here from Razzle Dazzle Radio with Carolyn and me.
Thank you.
Peace and love.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed what you just heard, we have a whole universe of podcasts waiting for you. Simply search Dragon Podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. You can also explore our full lineup and discover new shows at podbean.com/dragonpodcasts. That's podbean.com/dragonpodcasts.